at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. We have a boat show today. Super excited for that. That'll last for 5 days. A very awesome view today of the guys out here on the horse track, getting the horses going early this morning at 7:28. They've been out here probably way before that. I got here at 7, so they've been doing that. But several things wanted to address today. I want to talk to mentality and taking time for yourself, um, for clarity. And I think it's extremely important. I've realized over the years that it's something that I need, probably more often than I take, but it's so valuable when I do it. Um, when you are a risk taker and you challenge the odds and you go after things that most people don't, accomplishments, achievements, financial gains, um, you know, being in circles that you would never otherwise be in if you didn't take big leaps and of faith in yourself and reach out to people you hadn't otherwise thought you would be able to have access to. It can be taxing. It is, I know it is to me, because there's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of uncertainties, and the mind wants to add weight onto a lot of things that really, in hindsight, aren't that heavy. But when you are hoping on certain things and taking risks, it can weigh on the mind, and the mind is the biggest user of energy, anything that you do. And I use my mind a lot. Take a lot of action, but on top of that, I use my mind a lot, just for strategy and positioning myself properly by the words that I use, and then just being true to my passion while staying in line with my objective, and ultimately for me being concise in my message so that it doesn't get muddied, which is very difficult sometimes. But over the last couple of years, I've taken a lot of L's, as they say, a lot of hits to the ego, to pride, to just the person that I am, and I don't say that in a negative way, but that a lot of lessons were needing to be learned at these times, and the consequences of these lessons that I was learning were pretty profound, for myself and my family. And so there's a lot of things that, my mind was creating scenarios and planning for the worst, and continuing to be positive and optimistic about situations got harder and harder. And with that, comes to my point for today is sometimes you have to disconnect from the outside world, so that you can reduce the amount of noise and reduce the distractions so that you can really get true to what is happening now in the moment, not the future, not the past, just who you are, where you are, and what is going on right in front of you so that you can get back to a foundation. And so with that, I want to stress the importance of taking things slow, and not that you can't move fast and you can't move with speed, but really slow down and assess where you are and what your capacity is. I have the tendency to just want to take on a lot of things, and what I've realized in life is that absolutely have the ability, the capability, and the drive to take on a lot of things, but for keeping it consistent for a long time, you really need people. You need a team of people. You need resources to be able to maintain those things, because you will get burnout. Um, I have an exceptional drive, and focus on a lot of the things that I do because I'm extremely passionate about it. Without passion, I would not have got to experienced many of the things that I have and learned the lessons that I've had, and also experienced the failures that I've had. But the drive, is one thing, but staying clear and consistent. You need to be very clear on what you. Hi, Rebecca. How are you? You need to be very clear on what your capacity is. And something that is manageable so that you can stay clear on the focus. And to do that, you can take on big challenges, but you really need to align the right team. And then, most importantly, once you get overwhelmed, you got to step back. You got to take a breath. The world's going to keep moving with you or without you, but that doesn't mean that you are losing out or you're missing out or you are going to fall behind. I think you fall behind quicker when you don't take the time to step back. And so, over the last probably 10, 11 months, I've really just had my head down. I have this job now where helping a company build a sales team out. We've had some phenomenal results. It was nice to get back into that experience, as apprehensive as I was to go back to being a W-2 employee outside of being a business owner. But the thing is, I get to do both. I get to be a W-2 employee and own a business. So going back into the W-2 space and helping build a team for really incredible company, just starting, out essentially at a new location and building from one to six salespeople and increasing management and increasing team members and creating processes and systems that have allowed us to just go to a great level of production and produce some really high volumes has been a great experience for me because it built my confidence back up that I am capable of doing great things and most importantly doing great things with a team, building a team and achieving an objective that is beyond what anybody thought was possible. And so with that said, having my head down for 9 months allowed me to get back to who I am without all the clutter. And, so I've started to come up now. A lot of people reaching out to me asking for business advice, personal advice, asking me to provide them services to help their business grow, which is what I love. And I wasn't searching for that. So for those 9 months, I've had more people reach out to me in the last 30 days than I had in the 2 years. I feel like when I was hustling and grinding for consulting contracts. And so what I did was I reassessed like what is the fundamental of my business? What do I need to create in my business? And what type of business do I need to create and focus on to be able to produce the means, and in this case, the cash flow, to be able to do what I ultimately want to do, which is buy businesses, partner with businesses so that I can help them grow. That's the ultimate foundation of Livish, the Livish agency, which is my company. And in that, what I found at the core is that I am ultimately a a salesperson. I find products that I'm extremely valuable about. I build teams around that product. I build an understanding around that product. I put systems into place and processes into place that people can follow to enhance the delivery of that value to more and more people, which generates more and more profit so businesses can grow and add more value to whatever vertical, whatever industry that is. And so I'm very good at that. And so I realized that the cash flow for me is extremely important in the foundation of getting to where I want to be, which is getting into investments and development. I love development on all forms, specifically in businesses and you know residential or commercial developments. And this has led to me to so many opportunities in the last 30 days where people are reaching out to me to help them versus those last 2 years that brought me back to a W-2 employee position because unfortunately I was not paid for the real calculation is it's frustrating and can be disheartening to say, but about $2 million in promised out contracts that I was not paid, that I did achieve the results and the objectives and the terms of the contract. Unfortunately, the people did not pay out, and so that left me without cash flow and being able to realize that dream in the timeline I wanted to do it in the way I wanted to do it. And so that led to me getting to the point where I needed to disconnect, put my head down, and really refocus on where I was at and where I was going. Hi, Mohammed. How are you? So, and guys, I appreciate you staying on here. I get long-winded on these things, and I hope it brings a lot of value because this is a season of life that I'm talking about here, and I think all of us experience it. And I put myself in those seasons quite a bit because I do take large risks. And put myself out there, and I do have big goals and big dreams that I know I will achieve. But life doesn't always play out the streamlined way our mind makes it sometimes. And sometimes it plays out easier than what our mind makes it. And so I think that's what's important about this is to remember to reset and take your time. And so now for 9 months, I've disappeared off the social media. I haven't been posting as much, talking about the things that I'm doing, but I've done more in the last 9 months than probably I did it just as far as being clear about my objectives and my missions in the last 9 months than I did in those 2 years. I achieved millions of dollars in sales for companies, uh, created some massive strategic alignments for companies, and so I was successful in that fashion. But I was running so hard that I wasn't clear. um, yeah, I live in um, Indianapolis, Indiana. And so, you're talking about 400K, it's interesting. So I had a guy reach out to me. His partner ended up uh, getting brain cancer. And I was supposed to meet this guy, be connected to this guy a couple years ago. And it just never happened. And a colleague of mine connected me to this guy. His partner got brain cancer and his mom's got dementia. So now they are selling out his part of the business. Um, the individual that reached out to me said, "Hey, I want to blow this thing up." I was kind of sitting on these properties, multi-million dollar projects, developments that he's had, you know, 30, 40 residential lots and wants to get bigger into development. But his partner now wants to check out and he owns five businesses and doesn't have the capacity to do it on his own. So reached out to me, talked about some things as far as raising funds. So again, got a comment on here from Kayla about 400 grand. Um, and we have a project that we are looking to raise 500,000 for, which would essentially be 500,000 to go ahead and finish some of the development that isn't on two of these properties, as well as develop up the houses on the lots. So we have several lots that are for sale right now. They've been selling them just the lots, but we're going to go ahead and raise the funds to build the actual houses. He had explained that he had a very successful exit pre-COVID. They typically just buy and develop land, and then they'll sell that to a builder. But they went ahead pre-COVID and decided to build. Have a great contracting team and building team. Um, and so they raised the money, they built, and they exited and had a successful exit. And so now he wants to partner with someone who can take this to the next level, and that's where I come in. And he reached out to me, and so that's again the reset allowed me to really receive that and realize that yeah, this is in line with what I want to do because again, mergers and acquisitions is what my focus is right now, and so creating a sales team to sell people. Um, Valuable products is what is going to get me the cash flow to be able to get into buying the businesses so that I can fund that myself. But then also get into development and real estate, which that presented itself to me. And so it's right in line with who I am and where I want to go and what I want to do. And so I'm really happy about that. And so again, to close out this live session here for me, whenever you are unclear, whenever you feel like the world is shutting down around you, my answer was always, when in doubt, reach out. Call people and talk to people, and I think that's extremely important. But I think what's even more important is that when you do reach out, don't try to find answers. Just have conversations with people. And then if you are in the zone where you're trying to find a whole bunch of answers, and you're just not getting answers, and the stress is building up, and the lack of clarity is increasing, disconnect. Disconnect and take time for yourself. Relax and, just enjoy life. It'll come back around. If you're a winner and you're a go-getter, it's never going to stop. The opportunity is always going to be there because it's in your nature to go after those opportunities. And so take some time for yourself, enjoy your family and your friends, go take a vacation, slow mornings, slow evenings, walk around, don't think business, and just do that, and sometimes it takes 9 months. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it's shorter, but you have to take that time to decompress and figure out where you're at and where you want to go and what really matters to you. And then somehow, some way, the world just aligns to start feeding you that when you stop just grasping for it. You just start being who you are, the world has a way of figuring things out. So again, always stay optimistic, take time for yourself, take a break, and again, just keep putting yourself out there. The world is a beautiful place, no matter the failures that you have, because man, I have learned so much more in my 40 years of life than most people will learn in 100 lives. But that's because I've had the fortunate optimism to look at things as possible when most don't. So again, guys, stay livers. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this adds some value for you, and have a great day.